Okay, good afternoon. So, this is going to be a second lecture under the seminar presentation. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. Okay. So let's see how to find credible sources. So the last week we have discussed how you are going to find some uh, reference material for you to refer and the predatory publications, how you are identifying it. So now let's see how you start finding of good resources. So student wondering how to find good sources for a research paper. So can use the following paragraph as a great guide. So good research sources are not technically hard to find, but they do require time, and in the beginning stages of research, the beginner picture trend to be difficult to see. Therefore, the first step to find good sources for a research project is to start anywhere and narrow your search once you have found a connector string. So, it's understandable that finding a good resource material is difficult at the very beginning, but you start as early as possible and then dig the resources. Then once you grab the particular research, you can focus on that. Then you can narrow down your search and find the connecting string for each other. So the best thing is you should uh, simply mark the searching of credible sources. So the start somewhere. The first thing is start from somewhere else because you don't know where to start, but start at least somewhere very close to your search uh, searching search topics. Okay. So simply searching the topic chosen in general will provide a good starting point and help students move forward with the investigation. Okay. Then use only fact-checked sites. So that I ask you to not to refer Wikipedia like pages because it's updating frequently and there is no uh, proper evaluations methods to check the credibility of those facts. So pages like Wikipedia should be massively avoided. Thus, they can be edited by anyone and no facts can be proven to be true. So, go for scholarly databases, well known as newspapers and government pages to acquire information. So, the scholarly databases can be PubMed or maybe the Google Scholar, Oxford University Journal Publishers, or Elsevier or Frontiers, like the reputed journal websites. Or they were included most of the scholarly databases. Scholarly articles, any publications arose from the categorized as a scholarly article or scholarly work. So you can cite from them because it's very authentic and we can trust them. And also you can refer well-known newspapers like some Washington News, like there are so many well-known newspapers that the when they publish something, they evaluate it. So the editor evaluate it several times for the accuracy of that news. So we can trust it. And also government pages. This can be a web pages, government gazettes, or government, the parliament records, like the government pages also you can trust because no one can edit without getting a proper approval. So that proper approval process gives the credibility of the accuracy of that news. So you can trust. Then again, you need to go from local to foreign. Although most information can be accessed online, libraries are still relevant and provide great sources of data and facts. So this source is highly recommended to be used. So the most appropriate method is for going the local thing is the use of the library. As I mentioned last week, so you have 2-3 libraries within the university, and in Sri Lanka, so many libraries. So you can refer those. So if you want to find some articles, just get it to there and refer those. So then the credibility of a source. So with so many websites and articles available on the internet, the question of how to find credible sources become a primary concern among students and writers. So to help you determine the credibility of source, have in mind the following tips. The first thing is look for moderate to long articles. Quality over quantity is always prefers. That means that even the article is very lengthy, we are not bothering about the quantity of the paper. That means number of pages, but the quality. Can be a 2-3 page article, but the quality is really high. The impact is really high. So prefer always quality over the quantity. But when it comes to research paper sources, it is recommended to choose some that provide a sense of depth and good research optimal for publication. So that means if the article is providing in-depth study, so it give a good research optimal for publications, then we can select those. So look from moderate to long articles. Then be mindful for persuasions. So when looking for a credible research paper source, students and writers should be mindful of the author's persuasion on a specific topic or idea to later follow or go against it. So you need to think about whether the author is having enough knowledge with relate to this topic or with relate to the idea expressing in the paper. So you can think to follow or go against it based on that mindfulness of persuasion. Then you need to check the author's background as well. Because reliable sources are written by professional standards organizations. And typically, when a single author publishes an article or study, it is backed up or funded by an organization. So make sure to check their background to make sure the information is optimal for use. So if single author publication you came across, then find out whether this author is working for a company that produce some equipment or maybe some test kit maybe. So likewise, you search the background of the authors as well. If they have a competing interest, then different the article we cannot trust that much because they have a competing interest. That maybe some funding for that research. So the funding organization, the funding agency wants to evaluate and validate their test kit. So there is a bias. So we cannot trust that much on those papers. So go for author's background search as well. And then use updated informations. So unless you are researching an event that happened in a specific window of time, so maybe 1990, 1997, like specific window time, then you can go for that time. But using updated information is always recommended. So I ask you to refer last 5 years databases If you didn't find enough resources from last 5 years, then go for last 10 years. So likewise, go for latest information because uh, we can trust because there is no much time to update. If you go for 25, 30 years back, then those information can be updated by now. So we cannot trust the information you share. So always go for latest publications. Then we'll see what are the credible sources, okay, databases. So one such is Scopus. So Scopus is one of the two big commercial bibliographic databases that covers scholarly literature from almost any discipline. So besides searching for research articles, Scopus also provides academic journal ranking, author profiles, and an H-index calculator. So based on this H-index, we can see if the H-index is high, that means that there is a high reputation for that journal. That means most of the other authors refer these articles published on this journal. So we can trust. So likewise, the Scopus not only give the article, but also the journal information as well. So Scopus coverage is approximately 71 million items. So it's huge database. And the references, they have 1.4 billion. And also the Scopus cover multidisciplinary research areas. That means technology, science, mathematics, computer, the ICT field. So many areas it's covered. So it's a multidisciplinary database. And access options are so limited free preview. So the Scopus, sometimes there is a limit for pre-review. That means sometimes some papers only abstracts we can see. So if we want to read the whole article, we need to purchase or pay subscription fee likewise. Then a full access by institutional subscription only. That means if you want to access the full article, you should get the institutional subscription. So the institutional subscription, Rajaratnam University has a subscriptions for Scopus journals. So you can always ask from the librarian to take whatever the articles that you want. Then he or she should be able to download it because the institution has the subscription so that they can easily provide it. The Scopus, the provider is Elsevier. So Elsevier is a well-reputed publisher. So there is another database source we call Web of Science. So the Web of Science, also known as Web of Knowledge, it is the second big bibliographic database. Usually, academic institutions provide either access to Web of Science or Scopus on their campus network for free. So the coverage is approximately 100 billion items, and the reference number of references is 1.4 billion, even more than that. And the discipline, it is also multidisciplinary. So all the research areas, we can take articles, books published on Web of Science free of charge. And the access options are institutional subscription only. That means you cannot access these websites personal level. You need institutional subscriptions. So Rajaratnam University also has the institutional subscription, and the provider is Clarivate. So the publisher is Clarivate, formerly Thomson Reuters. So the Web of Science is another good source. Then PubMed. So the PubMed is the #1 resource for anyone looking for literature in medicine or biological sciences. So not like the other Scopus or Web of Science, this is the discipline is medicine and biological science, not multidisciplinary. So the PubMed stores abstracts and bibliographic details of more than 30 billion papers and provides full text links to the publisher sites or links to the free PDF on PubMed Central. So the coverage is approximately 30 billion items, and the discipline, medicine and biological sciences, the the number of references. So it is not applicable in this side because it's limited to medicine and biological field, and it has over 30 million papers. So the access options are, this is free. The PubMed gives articles free of charge. So you can freely download these articles from PubMed. The only thing is those articles related to medicine and biological sciences only, they are published. And the provider is NIH, National Institute of Health in US. So they provide this free access. Then again, we have a database like ERIC, that for education science. ERIC is the #1 destination. So ERIC stands for Education Resource Information Center, and is a database that specifically hosts education related literature. So the coverage is approximately 1.3 billion items, and the discipline is education science. So like the PubMed medicine and biological science, the discipline is limited to education science only in ERIC websites. So the access options is also free, and the provider is also US Department of Education. Then IEEE Explore is also a leading academic database in the field of engineering and computer science. So it's not only journal article, but also conference papers, standards, the standard operating procedures, SOPs, and books that can be searched from this site. So the coverage is approximately 5 million items, and discipline is only engineering. And access options is also free, and the provider is Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers. Then the Science Direct is also another database you can search. Yeah, it is the gateway to millions of academic articles published by Elsevier. So the 2,500 journals and more than 40,000 ebooks can be searched via single interface. So the coverage is approximately 16 billion items, and the discipline is multidisciplinary, and access options is also free, and the provider is Elsevier. Then we have direct open access journals, that DOAJ journals is very special academic database, since all the articles index are open access and can be accessed freely of charge. So the coverage is approximately 4.3 billion items, and this is also multidisciplinary database, and access is free, and the provider is DOAJ. Then JSTOR is another great resource to find research papers. Any article published before 1924 in the United States is available for free of charge, and JSTOR also offers scholarships for independent researchers. So the coverage is approximately 12 million items, and the discipline is multidisciplinary, and access option is free. The provider is ETHK, Ithaca, and the informations I have shared is valid for any resources that you need to refer for your final year research, or bioproduct development, or any other research area. When you write the article, or when you do the postgraduate research, so these databases can be useful for you. So, so I have given few example databases. You can find more information, and then how to start your searching with the new start. So you can first start with anywhere, and then dig resources, and then you find the interesting topic, then focus on that area and do your research. So likewise, you can search, limit your searches as well. So up to now, do you have any questions? මෙතනට වෙනකම් මොන හරි ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවද? So it's everything clear up to now. මෙතනට වෙනකම් පැහැදිලිද? මං හිතනවා පැහැදිලි ඇති කියලා. කතා සද්දයක් නැත්තේ. So if you don't have questions, so we can move into the next lecture. So how to write best literature review for your research proposal with the proper research gap. So if we look at the literature review, it is an essential element of an academic work, such as dissertation and dissertation research proposal. So often misunderstood as a summary. It is more than that. So most of the students think that the literature review is a summary of what you are going to do. No, it is more than that. So it is not only summarize the literature, but also present the current state of knowledge, future study and gaps in the literature. So in literature review, we expect that you refer the previous researchers' findings in article format or any other formats. So refer those and present the current state of the knowledge. Up to now, what they have found, you can present. And then you can mention the future study that they have suggested and that you supposed to do. And identify the gaps in the literature. So that if they have done something, if they have done something and if you still found some gaps, found some drawbacks in those methods, you can discuss this under the literature review. And also future studies. So maybe the future study, so you can decide based on the whatever they have done so far and based on the gaps you have identified. Or maybe sometimes some researchers, they have mentioned the future direction of their research. But even that, if you identified some drawbacks, what they have interpreted, so you can discuss it. So most of the times, the students tend to write only the summary and ignore the second part. So we saw that most of the time, students cite what they have done so far. So you refer articles and books or websites. So you discuss whatever the things that they have done up to now. So the current state of knowledge you have done greatly, but you are not going to discuss the future directions or the gaps in the literature. So this second part is missing always. So pay your attention on that. Therefore, though this literature, you will know how to analyze. Write the best literature review with proper gap. So the purpose of literature review is to ensure that the research is not replicated. So within your literature review, you should mention that whatever the articles you have referred, so you should mention that and there is no replication of the things that I am proposing. So it is novel. So to ensure that the research is not replicated. Then to highlight the key findings. So the current state of knowledge. So that is the key finding highlighting sections. Then to identify the clues for future research. So based on the current knowledge, so you can find the clues for the future research. So you can identify it. Then to gain a constructive analysis regarding the approach and methodologies. So whatever the analysis, data analysis methods or maybe some methodology, so you can select based on the previous researchers' findings. So you can give a constructive analysis regarding the approach and methodology. What is your approach? So you can prove it from the support of previous findings. So that is also purpose of a literature review. And the final thing is to start your research with a bang. So if something begins with a bang, it begins with a lot of energy, enthusiasm or success. That means you are starting your research in a very interesting way because you have read a lot and gathered a lot of data. So up to now, everything in that field you know, so that it gives some energy to start your research. So that is also one of the purpose of a literature review. Then, so the identify research gaps. So it is one of the objective of literature review. So while working on the literature review for your research proposal, you need to identify the appropriate research gaps for an impactful research and demonstrate your expertise in the topic. So, but identifying the gaps is not an easy task. The first step is focus on your area of research. Then the second step is read a lot based on the focus area. Then map your literature. That is the third step. Because there are so many research articles. So once you read through, you can deviate from the focus area. So focus on what you want to do and read a lot related to that focus area and then map your research. The map your whatever the reading material you read and then try to outline the research gap. Then the step 1, the focus on your area of research. So before attempting to identify the gaps, you need to focus on your area of research for your research proposal. Once you identify the area of research, you need to develop your knowledge on that topic. So you have gone through few articles and identify the gaps, the drawbacks, or maybe some missing component in one's research area. Then you focus on that research area and then identify and develop your knowledge on that topic so that you read a lot focusing on that topic. Then to identify a suitable topic of your research, you need to perform exploratory research and read ebooks and get help from your supervisors. So once you know the focus research area, so you need to identify the suitable topic for your research. So that you perform exploratory research. That means you need to dig massively on that topic and read ebooks and get help from your supervisors to fine-tune your topic. Because that topic should be focused on what you would like to do. Then step 2 is read a lot. The second step will be the most time-consuming one. In this step, you will have to read as many articles as possible. So we suggest you start at least 2-3 articles per day reading now onwards. So that finally your research will be very easy for you to focus whatever the area. Because you know most of the things related to that topic. So you can outline very easily your research proposal. And you need to identify many resources from various sources, such as online databases, journals, libraries, and much more. And once you identify the resources, you need to pay close attention to the introduction, abstract, and future suggestion of the article. So you do for identify the these particular sections, you don't need to read all the articles. But first read abstract. If the abstract is interesting, then go for the introduction and check the final discussion. So likewise, you can, if you are interesting, if you found it's really interesting to talk and it is more relevant to your research area, then read through all the articles. So likewise, limit the reading as well. And however, while reading all the resources possible, ensure that you do not get deviate due to other issues. Because once we go through the articles, maybe that article discuss so many things where we don't need. So we need to keep our focus area as it is without deviating that. දැන් ඔයා කියෝගන අනුකට ආටිකල් එකේ එක ප්‍රශ්නයක් නෙමෙයි ප්‍රශ්න දෙක තුනක් කතා කරලා තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි ඔයාගේ ફોකස් ඒරියා එකේ ඒ ප්‍රශ්නේ නම් එතනින් එහාට ඩීවියේට් යන්න බලන්න එපා. මොකද ඔයාට තියෙන ලිමිටඩ් රිසෝසස් ලිමිටඩ් කාලයක් තියෙන ටයිම් එකක් තියෙන. එතකොට මේ ඔක්කොමත් එක්ක මේක කරන්න ફોකස් එක තියාගන්න. ඒක එහෙට මෙහෙට යවා ගන්න එපා. So the third step is map your literature. So while you are reading all the articles, you need to keep a track of all of them. So also you need to simultaneously note down the questions that pop up in your head while reading them. Doing so will allow you to frame your research proposal clearly. So when you read articles, there are so many questions coming up to your head. So write down them. Then check whether those questions can be solved by reading this article, or when you read another article, those questions can be solved. So likewise, you can go through so many articles and find out the questions arising and then do the comparative search. So the search for all the questions that you have noted down and ensure if there are answers available to them. Then, in case you do not find the answer to any of the questions that came up to your head, then you have found out the research gap. Because if one of the questions not answerable in any literature, that means it is still there. So that is the research gap you identified. Focus on that area. දැන් ඔයා ආටිකල්ස් 10ක් 15ක් කියවගෙන යනකොට ඔයාට එක එක වෙලා ආටිකල් එකේ එක එක ප්‍රශ්න එනවා. ඒක write down කරගන්න. write down කරන ඒ ප්‍රශ්නෙට උත්තරේ හොයාගන්න try කරන්න. ඒ ආටිකල්ස් තව 20ක් 30ක් කියවුවත් ඔයාට එක ප්‍රශ්නයකට හරි උත්තරයක් හම් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. කියන්නේ එතන research gap එකක් තියෙනවා. ඒකට focus කරන්න. So the writing literature review. So refer sample literature review before writing down the literature review. So before start your literature review section, refer sample literature reviews done by other scientists or other colleagues. Then keep it simple. Literature review should be keep it simple as possible so that you are not making a jumble of the ideas. So make use of current resources. Make use of last 5 years or past 10 years research data, most current resources. Okay. Then organize your work. You should organize your work in a manner that the reader keep the interest. දැන් ඔයාගේ ආටිකල් එක කියවගෙන යනකොට ලිටරචර් රිවිව් එකකට එකක් ගැලපෙන්න ඕන පැරග්‍රාෆ්ස්. ඒ ෆ්ලෝ එකක් තියෙන්න ඕන. ඒ ෆ්ලෝ එක මේන්ටේන් කරගන්න. ඒකේ තමයි ඔයා ඕගනයිස් කරගන්නේ ඔයාගේ වැඩ. So the refer sample literature review. So before starting with the literature review for your research proposal, refer to a sample literature review in your subject area and learn how the literature is written. Then familiarize yourself with the existing discussions and databases. Doing so will provide a huge impact on your research. Then keep it simple. You need to ensure that your topic is narrow and you focus on it rather than deviating to a broad scale. So we always ask students to focus on the whatever you want to do without deviating that. So හරියට අර ගහක මුදුන් මුල වගේ. අපි කියන මේ ඩෙප්ත් එක බලන්න. මේ අතු මේ පාර්ශ්වයක මුල පොඩ විහිදුවල හරියන්නේ නැහැ. ඒ කියන්නේ මම මොකක් හරි ටොපික් එකක් ගැන මම හිතනවා නම් ඒකේ හැම ඒරියා එකක්ම කවර් කරන්න බැරිද යාවි. ඇයි හේතුව? මට තියෙන්නේ මාස 6 රිසර්ච් එක කරන්න ඊළඟට මට තියෙන ෆන්ඩින් ලිමිට් මේ හැමදේම ගැන හිතලා මගේ ස්කිල් එකට මැච් වෙන්න මේ හැමදේම වෙන්න බෑ. ඒකට මට ගොඩක් ලොකු ඒරියා එකක් කවර් කරන්න බෑ. හැබැයි පුංචි ඒරියා එකක් හරි කමන්නේ ඒක ඩෙප්ත් එකට කවර් කරන්න. ඒකට අදාළ හැම දෙයක්ම මම දන්නවා කියන එක. නැතුව වටේ ගොඩ විහිදෙච්ච රිසර්ච් එකක් නෙමෙයි. බ්‍රෝඩ් ස්කේල් එකක් කවර් කරන්න හදන්න එපා නැරෝ ඩවුන් කරගන්න. Then your supervisor will not expect you to research and address all the arguments related to your topic. So once you read articles and focus the one research gap, keep that focus as it is. Do not go to make arguments related to your topic in all the areas. We cannot solve all at once. Especially at undergraduate level, we do not expect because the time and the funding and the skills are limited. So with that limited resources, how you are going to fulfill the most promising argument? So that is the best solution. ඔයා හොඳම ආගියුමන්ට් එක කරන්නේ ඒක සොල්ව් කරන්න බලන්න. නැතුව ආගියුමන්ට්ස් 10ක් 15ක් එක එකපාර වැඩ කරන්න යන්න එපා. ඔයාගේ ස්කිල් එකයි ටයිම් එකයි ඊළඟට රිසෝසස් මේ හැම එකක්ම ලිමිට් වෙන නිසා. Then you will have to focus only on the arguments that related to your hypothesis. So whatever you imagine to achieve, focus on that. Then make use of current resources. A very important part of your literature review is that you make use of the most recent literature. The reason is that the discussion in the old literature might be outdated. Especially in the fields such as medicine and agriculture, the latest resources is always best. Because after 5-6 years, one thing fine. So maybe that vaccine updated, maybe that research area updated. So we cannot trust the old research work. So always go for the latest research findings. And sometimes there might be the need to refer all classic resources. So there is sometimes we need to refer all classic, maybe some theories. So if that theory is not changed over the years, past 10-15 years, you need to go for that old classic resources. So however, you will still have to link those resources to the current approaches. If those classic theories, classic resources coming from these theories in previous findings, so better to refer the latest articles and confirm whether those theories are still applicable. දැන් අපිට සමහර තියරිස් තියෙනවා මේ දැන් නිව්ටන් නියමේ අවුරුදු ගාණක් ගියත් වෙනස් වෙනවද නැහැ වෙනස් වෙලා නැති තියරිස් තියෙනවා ඒවට පරණ රිසෝස් එක පාවිච්චි කරන්න හැබැයි ඒක වෙනස් නොවන බව පෙන්වන්න අලුත් ආටිකල් අලුත් රිසෝසස් යූස් කරලා කන්ෆර්ම් කරන්න. Then organize your work. So organizing your literature review is very way to link one literature to the other. So you need to link literature one from other so that the flow of the literature review is nicely arranged. Then you can organize in various methods such as based on the theme or based on the chronology, the sequential order in which past event occur. කලින් කියන්නේ ඔයාගේ theme එක ඔයාට කඩා ගන්න පුළුවන් පුංචි කොටස් වලට මේ සබ් ටොපික්ස් වලට කඩාගෙන ඒ ටිකත් එක්ක ඩිස්කස් කරගෙන යන්න පුළුවන් ලිටරචර් රිවිව් එක. එහෙම නැත්නම් ඒ පාස්ට් ඉවෙන්ට් වෙච්ච ඕඩර් එකට ඔයාට කතා කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ කියන්නේ ඒවා හොයාගත්තු කාලත් එක්ක. ඒතර හැබැයි පිළිවෙලක් තියෙනවා. එක්කෝ අතීතයේ ඉඳලා මේ වෙනකොට කොහොමද ඩිවලොප් වුනේ මෙතඩ් එක. එහෙම නැත්නම් ඒ මෙතඩ් එක ඇතුලේ තියෙන එක එක ටෙක්නික්ස් කොහොමද ඩිවලොප් වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. ඒතර ටීම් එකට අනුව ඒ වගේ මොකක් හරි ඕඩර් එකකට තමයි ඩිස්කස් කරන්න ඕන. Then before starting Ensure, think about the structure in your mind to help you work better. So before you start writing literature review, make a sketch of plan. So how I am going to write my literature reviews. Then it works better. So then with this, I will stop today's lecture. So next week, I will cover how to cite your um, the previous researchers data in your within your text and as well as the bibliography or references sections. So there are we normally code it as a citation. So there are so many citation styles. So let's take one or two which is more relevant to you when you write your research proposal for bioproduct development course or the final year research, so that you can get used to how to cite these literature review section with different citation style. So next week I hope to cover that part. So I have covered both the finding good credible sources and as well as what are the available databases that you can use and the drafting some tips for the literature review section. So if you didn't get anything else, you didn't understand, you can raise now. මම පැයක lecture එකක් ගන්න. මොකද මේක one credit subject එකක්. So මම මේකෙදී ඔයාලට lectures දෙකක් cover කළා. එකක් තමයි කොහොමද credible source එකක් හොයාගන්නේ, identify කරගන්නේ. ඊළඟ credible source එකකින් ඔයාලා මේක credible source එකක් කියලා identify කරගන්න. ඒ වගේ උදාහරණ කිහිපයක් ගත්තා. ඒ තරමට මම literature review එක start කරන හැටි ඔයාලට කියලා දුන්නා. ඒකේ තියෙන්න ඕන මූලික ලක්ෂණ ලියනකොට බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන දේවල් ගැන කතා කළා. ඊළඟ සතියේ අපි බලමු කොහොමද ලිටරචර් රිවිව් එක දැන් මොන සෝස් එක ගත්තත් පොතක් රිෆර් කළා, ජර්නල් ආටිකල් එකක් රිෆර් කළත් ඒක සයිට් කරන්න එපා. විතින් ටෙස්ට් ඔයා ඇක්නොලෙජ් කරන්න එපා. ඒ කරන විදි තියෙනවා. විශේෂයෙන්ම අපි යුනිවර්සිටි එක ඇතුලේ APA ස්ටයිල් එක තමයි යූස් කරන්න සයිට් කරන්නේ. දැන් ඒ ස්ටයිල් එකෙන් කොහොමද සයිට් කරන්න කියලා ඉවලා අපි බලමු. සමහර softwares තියෙනවා. ඒ softwares use කරන්නේ කොහොමද? ඒවා interface කොහොමද? මේවා ටික අපි next week discuss කරමු. අද කරපු ටිකේ මොන හරි ගැටලු තියෙනවද? තියෙනවා නම් අහන්න පුළුවන්. නැත්නම් අපිට මේ වෙලාවේ lecture එක නවත්තන්න පුළුවන්. ඔයාලා දන්නවා මම පැයක lecture එකක් ගන්නෙ. මොකද මේ අපිට 15 hour free time එකක් තියෙන්නේ. So I can cover most of the stuff. Okay. If you don't have questions, we can wind up. Is everything clear? Okay, then since you don't have any questions, we can stop the wind up the lecture. Thank you very much.